This is definitely going to be something different for the channel, something that I haven't done yet, but I really wanted to make this video because I'm curious about what you all think of the new Leprous album. This isn't going to be a full review or a full breakdown of the album. I want to just cut straight to my point and mention that I had hopes to react to this whole album, and I really wanted to get that out there, but I just couldn't follow through on it. I thought that the listening experience was just too intense and too uncomfortable for me. When I tried to listen to the album all the way through for the first time, I had to stop and take a break after about 3 or 4 songs, and I ended up splitting up the listening experience across, I think, 3 different times to get through it all finally. It was a struggle for me. And I'm very curious if any of you guys feel the same way, because to me, the way that the songs are structured and the way that they are driven, it feels so incredibly full of pain, and it doesn't feel like there is any desire to move out of that, to move to anything more hopeful, any sort of resolution. It feels like they enjoy dwelling in their pain throughout the album, and that's where a lot of the discomfort comes from me. That, along with the fact that it feels like they want to inflict those feelings onto the listener, onto the audience. They are trying to make you feel their pain. I can understand that some people can appreciate that. When I'm in a darker place, I generally want some brighter music to uplift me and to motivate me to different feelings, different spaces. But there are a large group of people who like to listen to darker music when they're sad. They want to hear something personal and intimate, something that they can relate to, that they feel like understands their feelings. And I totally get that. But I still struggle to see this album acting as a blanket or a comfort as well. Because even in those softer, more atmospheric moments, they're still so painful, so jarring. The synths and the grooves will scratch at you and they'll poke at you, and Einar's vocals are at the same level of intense and devastated throughout the whole album. The fact that the album kind of stays in the same structure and the same mood throughout it all adds to it for me, because it feels like the songs don't have much of a high point or a low point. Some of them have a bit of a climax, like the song Atonement, but even then, that synth part that is one of the more upbeat parts of the album is very jarring and uncomfortable. It's a melody that I don't like to listen to, and I don't like when it gets wrapped in my head. And those moments always repeat. It's a very repetitive album. They build up in similar ways, and that adds to that state of dwelling that I was talking about. It feels like they want to stay in this place, they don't want to move out of it, and they want us to feel what they're feeling. And so that is why I struggle with this album and with this kind of music. I don't really understand the motive for that, or what would draw people to come back and listen to this over and over. It's just something that I struggle with here. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. I think the latest Volo release, I don't know how we got here, is an example of writing this kind of song in the perfect way with the perfect formula. It's easily one of the darkest, most depressing, most emotional songs in their discography, and it does feel like it has a bit of that vastness and that emptiness because it doesn't have too much of a climax. That kind of outro is a little bit more has a little bit more oomph to it, but for the most part, the song stays in the same kind of register. The chorus doesn't vary much from the verse. It's very dark, but somehow they were still able to make it super melodic. They were able to make it super catchy and extremely replayable. I listen to that song every day. I have listened to it every day since it's come out. It makes me want to go back and listen to it. Even though it is that dark, it does feel like that safety blanket, that comfort, that little bit of a warm hug, and it made me cry on the first listen as well. So being able to pair all of that, that is exactly how I would want that kind of painful, intense, yet important and realistic music to be written. But this Leprous album takes away all that replayability for me, and I don't see how I can go back and listen to it again unless maybe I try it when I am in a darker space. Maybe I can see if I can relate to it in those moments. But as it is, it's a really difficult listen for me. And so I'm really curious if any of you guys felt the same, if it was too intense for you guys, or if you're able to understand something that I don't get from it. But those are my main thoughts. I wanted to keep it quick, I wanted to keep it to the point, and all in all, instrumentally, vocally, everything, they're a great band, they're very technical, even though I don't think that is showcased too much on this album. I don't think there is anything bad about it necessarily. It's more of a taste thing for sure. Nothing against what they're doing here, nothing outwardly wrong, but I was just curious what the inspiration for something like that was, and you guys will have to let me know if I'm crazy or if you guys understand where I'm coming from at least a little bit. That's all I have for now. Let me know your thoughts on the album, and we will be back soon. Till next time.